Hi, this is Shana Meyerson with YOGAthletica in Los Angeles, California. Here to teach you my most exciting pose of the year, Natarajasana. This is the Lord of the Dance or King Dancer pose. It's a pose I've been working on forever, so I'm so happy to finally be getting this down on film. Here's the thing, I don't suggest trying this before you're warmed up. So do a full practice before doing this, or do this towards the middle of your practice, or towards the middle of the end of your practice, or the end of the middle of your practice, because you want to be sure that you're warm. This is going to use a lot of shoulder, a lot of spine, and a lot of, quite frankly, hip flexors. So let's get this party started. I'm going to recommend that you have a strap. By recommend, I mean highly recommend. If you don't have a strap, grab one from the bedroom. Doesn't matter what kind of strap, they all work just fine, as long as it doesn't stretch. Okay, starting out with just the basics of Natarajasana. When I am doing without the full posture, just sort of the warm up for Natarajasana, bend the knee behind you and reach back and grab the foot or the ankle from behind. Notice I'm grabbing the pinky toe side of the foot, so I want to make sure I'm grabbing from the inside instead of the outside. My other hand goes up. I like to make like a little mudra to sort of keep me mindful, but you totally do not have to do that. And now I'm falling just thinking about being mindful. See? Mindfulness. What a joke. Joking. I'm joking about mindfulness being a joke. Okay, so I grab my foot from the outside, and you always want to have a drishti, a focal point. So you can find the one that works for you. What I see a lot in this pose is people grab the foot and then maybe lean forward, maybe like this, or even like this. And this is not the pose, guys. Natarajasana is a bow position. Not literally, it's not a dhanurasana, which is our actual bow position, but it's a bow because think of it like a bow and arrow, right? Like an archer. My body in this scenario is like the wooden part of the bow, the stick thing, and then my leg is like the stringy thing that pulls back behind me. Now think about it. If I were trying to shoot an arrow across the room, and I take my stringy part, that's this part, and it looks like this, when I let go, the arrow's just going to be like, and it's just going to like go right into the floor. I might even shoot it into my own foot, which would suck. However, if I want to shoot this theoretical arrow across the room, I need to get a big old bow thing, right? So when I grab the foot, it's like I'm pulling the string behind me, trying to create more and more of a backbend. And the foot is not just going away, it's going up, up and away. And notice I am leaning forward, but I'm not leaning forward by rounding my spine. I'm leaning forward within the back bend, and the rule is this. I can hinge as far as I want from my hips, as long as my upper chest sternum continues to face the wall in front of me. So again, I grab the foot from the outside, other arm comes up next to my ear in external rotation. It's not that important, but external rotation. I find my drishti, and I start to pull my foot up, and away. And that's going to create a natural bend for me as I lift from my arm and chest to try to have my chest facing forward. Now, technically you want your hips to be squaring to the floor when you do this, but because I have this power, I'm going to give you the permission to open the hip a little bit, because it will take you deeper. And I'm going to close the window because there's construction going on right outside my window. Ooh, much better. Okay. So once you have that, you move on to the strap. Now, when you have a strap, you can make the strap move as big or as small as you want to, but your hand and your foot are both going to be within the strap. So we're not going to like have the strap, put it around the foot and hold on to the tail. So we're not going to do this. Rather, find a loop that works for you. If you haven't done this, err on the side of caution, make a nice big loop. Okay, that's a pretty big loop, okay? That's on the small side of large, if you're really tight. So you take the loop, see how my palm is up, my strap is not twisted, and my elbow is down. Now, I can't remember if it's the Brady Bunch or the Partridge Family, but remember Sunshine Day like this? It's a sunshine day, right? I can't dance, but do you know what I'm talking about? So we're gonna sunshine day our elbow on this one. We wanna keep it really close to our body in order to keep the shoulders safe. So I get my foot in my sling and turn my hand upside down inside the loop. By the way, you don't want the buckle on your hand or your foot just because it feels like crap. Then I'm gonna sunshine day the elbow. I take it really close to my body, straight forward, and up by my ear. Now notice where my foot position is naturally. I reach back with my other hand. It's where I said we don't want it, right? Really close to my tush. So now, again, I pull up, and away. You see how this creates extra opening in my back? I'm trying to allow my elbows to come back behind my shoulders. And then coming out of it, I release the leg, reverse sunshine day, and take it down. Okay. Now the good thing about loops, they're adjustable. So you can make it as big or as small as you want. Taking a large small loop. This would be like the large side of a small loop. Taking my foot, putting it in the loop. Remember, when your hand comes upside down, you don't want that loop twisted. So you don't want to hold from on top because it's going to twist and it's going to be really hard to grab it, and it could cut off your circulation too. So my palm is open. I serve my hors d'oeuvres. Sunshine day that elbow forward again. Notice I look at my drishti the whole time, reach back with my second arm, and pull up, and away. So my foot is aiming, in essence, for where the wall meets the ceiling behind me. That way. Not that way, not that way, that way. Now, once you have that, let's say you're pretty deep into the pose and you want to take it deeper. Get a wall handy. And this one might take a little trial and error to figure out like how close to be to the wall. Switch legs again. So I come to the wall. Foot, hors d'oeuvre, sunshine day. And then leaning in, if I push my elbow, both elbows I should say, into the wall and look up, the pressure of the wall helps me to open my upper back even further. And then I can come out, sunshine day, and release. Now, the wall really does make a difference, but you gotta make sure you're not too close, you're gonna get nowhere, or not too far, because you don't wanna fall forward on your face. And you don't wanna have just like the pointy part of your elbow, and make sure you look up when you do that. So I'd say the hardest part about this full posture has got to be the grip of this pose. When you get rid of the strap, the hand has to go in a really weird position. And what finally made sense to me was I was thinking, I've been able to do Natarajasana, which is the full pigeon, for well over a decade. It is the same exact rotation. The only difference is my leg position. So I was trying to think, what about pigeon on the floor, single pigeon, is different when I'm standing, besides of course a standing leg. And I realized that, again, the pressure of the floor was lifting my back leg higher in essence, ensuring that it was at least the height of my hip. Because if my knee is down low, it's really hard for me to get a full rotation. So on this one, what I find is that if I take this knee much higher, and if you want a little help, put your hand on your right thigh, or whatever, your standing thigh, for a little support as you're going up. And if I take this back leg and already start in that sort of up and back position, it's going to bring my leg higher, so it's going to be easier to bind, to grab. The other thing is that if I lift my chest, it's going to move my whole body closer to the foot, right? Because that's what I want. I want to get as close to the foot as possible so I can get in. So once my foot is up, I I lift my knee, and I grab, you see how my thumb is on the top, and then I pull all the fingers to the outside. Starting to lean forward. The sunshine day is a lot further from my body now, but I do the same rotation in my arm. And once I feel like I'm up, reach back, find my foot, and once again, pull up, and away. I haven't figured out a great way to get out of this one. So here's the thing. Finding the grip with the first one is a challenge of its own. But the second thing that's hard is that when I grab my foot, there's a tendency for it to just slip out of my hand. The grip can be difficult, especially because remember that you did a full practice already, so you might be a little slippery or sweaty or something. And so, how do I combat that? Well, if my foot is like this, my hand is going to slip out. But if I flex my toes really strongly, then my hand will sort of get caught on the toes, so to speak, so that it doesn't flip out anymore. So one more time on the other side. I reach back so my thumb is up, grab the outside, and sort of move the whole hand to the outside. Lift from my knee, rotate from my shoulder. Can you see how my toes are flexing back? Now, if it's hard to find your leg with the second hand, you can grab your hand and walk down to the foot. Up, and away. Now, here's the good news for you. I actually don't have a massive back bend. I know that when we see people do this, because I always saw people do this and thought, that person has a massive back bend. I really don't, but I've trained it really hard to be able to handle this posture. Once you get in, it's surprisingly not all that difficult, and it feels amazing. I hope this video helped. This is Shana Meyerson with YOGAthletica in Los Angeles, California. Don't forget that if you need a full practice, you can find me on Venmo, where I have full-length practices everywhere from a half hour to 2 hours to keep you busy on the weekends and weekdays. And mornings, noons, nights, lunchtime, anytime. I'm always there for you. You know that. Have an awesome day.